All right, let's go ahead and get this started. Thanks for being here, folks. And for everybody who's listening to the recording, thanks for taking some time to listen to this recording, because I think it's going to be hopefully very useful anyway. That's the goal here. So I've tried to give this a little bit of structure. You can see I have some slides prepared here. There's nothing too deep, but I wanted to get some sort of structure to this, because as I started outlining the things that could be discussed, it started getting really long and really deep. So I am going to try to keep things sort of reined in. We may not get through everything today in one shot, in which case I'm prepared to split this out over several sessions to really be able to dive into everything. But this is the first time out, so let's see where we land. So first of all, of course, this is all about getting the most out of TRG, or exploiting your TRG experience. As the slide says, of course, I am Jonathan van Clute, and most of you already know who I am. You're TRG folks, but I see not quite everybody is, and certainly on the recording, I'm expecting some folks to listen to this who are possibly just free course students, or possibly have just been curious to know what TRG is all about. So hopefully this can shed some light on all of that. By the way, I am the one in the glasses in the picture, in case you're not totally sure, and I wouldn't fault you for that. So let's go ahead and get things going. Real quick, some of you already know kind of my story of TRG, but how the heck did I wind up here at this point? Well, I started the trading world. I discovered options first, as a lot of people do for some reason. A lot of people seem to start with options, which in hindsight, I realized was a very bad thing. Options are not where you want to start. But I discovered them around 99, 98, 2000, somewhere in there. I'm pretty sure it was pre-2000, actually. And just doing, equity index options. And I spent about 15 or so years being in and out of the markets, just build up an account, get 3, 5 grand, 10 grand, blow it all up in the next year or two, and then do it again. Take a year or two off and study and try to figure things out and get a strategy, and then come back and do it again and do it again and do it again. And I did that more times than I like to think about. So that was 15-ish or so years, and maybe actually a little longer than that. And then I discovered futures in around summerish of 2018. And I had always previously had this idea in my head, and it doesn't come from anywhere really meaningful or sensible. It's basically from movies and TV and things like that, and books or whatever. Futures are like, orange juice and soybeans and pork bellies and all this kind of thing, whatever. And it's for big money, and you got to be a huge trader to be able to swing futures. It's like, this big deal. And I was completely blown away when I actually had a futures trader explain futures to me in a way that there actually wasn't a whole heck of a lot to them. They were a whole lot simpler than I thought. And I completely reversed my view and realized, no, wait a second. These are actually the ideal small account trading vehicle. These are amazing. They're so much better than stocks and options and so forth, provided we're talking about outright directional trading. There's just so many advantages to them, and more than I have time to get into here. But I then discovered that there was this thing called order flow, sort of around in the fall of 2019, and I stumbled across the volume by price study in Sierra Chart, and I had for as far back as I can remember, I had been well aware that the markets were based on buying and selling and auction process. I understood that high level, supply and demand. And I always thought, gosh, if somehow we could know live in real time, who was buying and who was selling, like where the supply and demand really were at what price levels, and how amazing would that be? And I compared it at the time to my affiliate marketing world that I was in, where it was all about knowing the demand for a particular keyword or a particular product for search terms, and then going and bidding on those search terms and trying to bid less than you would collect in revenue from the clicks, and and arbitraging that and so forth. And I just conceptually felt like it should be able to work kind of the same way in the markets. It seems that makes sense. And so I stumbled into the volume by price study, and it completely blew my mind. And I thought, of course, immediately, this is the holy grail. Eureka, I have found it. And, I can never lose a trade again. And immediately proceeded to discover, that, giant red at volume at price does not just mean get short. In fact, oftentimes it means get long. Huh? That doesn't make any sense. It's totally bass backwards. And so I actually threw it aside and thought, okay, well, that thing doesn't work. And that was that. And then in February of 2020, I randomly got an email from some guy, emoji something or other. Had no idea who it was. It was a mailing list I stumbled onto somewhere in my trading travels, and it was intriguing. And I checked out his YouTube channel, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about, the material, but the way he was explaining things was like, okay, wait a minute, there's something here. This seems like it makes a lot of sense. I don't really understand it, but I feel like there's something here. And he's talking about that volume at price thing that I felt like should make sense. And so I sat in on a webinar, and there you go. I joined TRG immediately, and I've been here ever since. And then in 2021, I had been kind of helping out behind the scenes for a while because I have my past professional life. One of a few past professional lives actually was as a video editor for a good long while, and I owned and ran a post-production facility for a few years, doing sales and marketing videos for tech companies in the Silicon Valley where I am. And anyway, I had a background in video editing, and they needed help with getting videos produced. So I, raised my hand and said, "Yeah, I'll take care of those for you," because I really wanted to get on the inside. I felt like, okay, these guys know something, and I need to learn this. I need to really be involved in this. So I wanted to do anything I could to help out and make myself kind of indispensable. And it seems to have worked because, in January 2021, they officially said, "Hey, how about you be our community manager?" And needless to say, I said, "Yeah, sure, absolutely, let's do it." So that brings us to here. So with me out of the way, let's talk about TRG. I want to real quick walk through kind of the ethos or the TRG way. This is the way of TRG. And again, TRG members who've been around a while have heard this stuff before, but I think this will be really good anyway to just remind everyone of, and some people who haven't heard it before probably need to. The first and foremost thing that is so critical if you're going to come into TRG is this concept of tabula rasa. And I actually meant to edit the slide and add blank slate after it in case maybe some people don't have any idea what the heck that means. It means blank slate, literally tablet erased, tabula rasa. And the idea is just be a blank slate, put everything aside. Don't come into TRG with 10, 22 years, months, whatever, of technical analysis books and seminars and webinars and classes and whatever, and think that you're just going to layer this on top of that and it will solve all your problems. That never, ever, ever works. You can't come in here and just take order flow and plug it in like it's a puzzle piece into whatever you're doing. It doesn't work. It never works. I can't tell you how many times over and over and over again we see people try to do exactly this. And it not once, I've never seen it work. What you can do, however, is for now, just for now, leave everything you think you know, and I do mean you think you know, because you may discover as you get deep down the order flow path that a lot of the things that you were sure were so maybe weren't quite so. But for now, just set everything you think you know about trading to the side. It's not going anywhere. It's still there. Just put it aside and, start over, start fresh, and just learn whatever you possibly can from TRG and get these concepts just completely ingrained. Once that happens and you reach a level of competence with understanding order flow and what's going on, and then at some point you will be able to take a look back at the stuff you set aside and go, okay, wait a second, now is any of that stuff still useful here? And I would say the odds are the answer will be no, not really. But there might be a piece or two that you realize is not useful the same way that you used to use it. But now within an order flow context, you realize, oh, that's where that actually can be useful. And we've seen plenty of examples of that, things like VWAP, for example, as a concept, the way most people treat it, to be just completely ignored, discarded. It's ridiculous. People use it in a totally nonsensical way if you actually take the time to think about what is an average, what is a VWAP. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a way to actually make VWAP very useful within a structural or within an order flow context. So just keep that in mind. Just put it aside. You can always pick stuff back up again later. We are always saying progress, not perfection. This is not something you can perfect. There is no perfect trading. It's not possible. Unlike, let's say, a sport, bowling or golf, right? I mean, there can be a perfect game, baseball, whatever. There can be a perfect game. There is a perfection. There is a particular measurable objective level that is perfect. Chess, whatever. There's lots of examples where you can in fact define and measure perfection. That is not the case in trading. So as long as you're making progress, that is the thing you need to look for. You need to always be just measuring yourself on a regular basis, whether that's weekly. I mean, it could be daily. Daily is probably a little bit too much, because then you're beating yourself up over not seeing big improvements in one day to the next. I think that's probably a little too harsh. But certainly, weekly, maybe monthly, as long as you're seeing improvement in areas that that, okay, I'm not very good here with this, whether it's, specifically understanding delta at price, or whether it's reading price action, or whether it's, whatever it may be, focus on that. Can I be improving? And as long as I am, then, hey, I'm on the right track. And yeah, if I can find a way to make that improvement happen quicker, even better. But the main thing here is you're measuring yourself against your improvement, not P&L, not, win rates, not anything like that. That stuff becomes important, eventually at some point, but certainly at the beginning, just look for improvement in yourself and in what you're here to try to do. Now, trading is a learned skill. That's another thing that we say over and over and over again. And it is absolutely insanely difficult. It doesn't seem like it at a glance from people who don't trade or have never traded or don't know anything about trading. They tend to think, well, you just sit there and, you stare at your screen, and when something lights up telling you to do something, you push a button. Like, what's so hard about that? And it's not like that at all. Real trading is not like that. And trading, how many professions can you name where it is very realistic in any given work day that you end the day with less income, less financial capital than you had at the start of the day? That doesn't really happen. Yeah, you could argue, commission sales, and maybe they go a long time between sales, and so they're not making money, but they're spending on advertising, blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, okay, you could try to sort of stretch the metaphor a little bit, but really, basically, it's not quite the same. You may not be making money, and you may be spending on expenses to keep the business running and so on and so forth, but that's not the same as, oops, I made a mistake and whammo, I just lost 10 grand, or whatever, something like that. That is a pretty unique to trading kind of thing. So that pushes buttons in us as humans, emotional buttons that other jobs just don't. They're not going to. They may be frustrating at times, and you may be trying to succeed at something, some job, some whatever, but it's not going to tap you emotionally the way trading will, dealing with the inevitable losses and things of that nature. Like any skill, this requires insane amounts of practice, lots and lots, years, lifetime. You really will never stop practicing. So much like the example I always use, I compare this to music, right? I'm a musician, and musicians are always practicing their instrument. They have to be. It's the only way you ever get really, really good and get to a sort of a level of mastery, is you have to just be endlessly, infinitely practicing. And there's a great little image, meme, whatever. I probably should have thrown it in the slide. It would have been great for this. But anyway, it's in the pit of Bruce Lee, and always be practicing. It's in the pit. You probably know the one I'm talking about. You've seen it, but that's the point is, yeah, it requires way more practice than you think. And ultimately, you really want to get vertical. And again, the TRG folks, you know what this means. You read a dome, volume at price, markets move up and down, and that's it. And get away from the horizontal charts are telling me what to do. Yeah, horizontal, things happening over time, especially really fast time, has value. There's useful ways to apply that and glean something useful and actionable from it. But that isn't where you want to really be focusing the majority of your understanding of what's going on. You need to read price vertically. It's really important. And it just plain takes time. There's no way around that. It takes time, but you have to just suck it up and do it. Do a Nike and just do it. All right, let's talk about the free courses. And you all, I'm sure you've all at least been through them, looked at them. Probably every single one of you has actually gone through them and done them. There are two different categories of course. We've got the tick maker courses, and those are tools of the trader, which just focuses on tools, explaining what are the tools we use, what's a dome, and what is volume of price, and in a sort of high level introduction to platforms and the things that we use, the tools of our trade. And then we've got the art of tick making, and that's where we start to get into setups. What is a setup, and what's an edge, and how do we apply these things, and what are the concepts of inside out and outside in, and price action ranges, LRCs, this kind of stuff. We start to explain all of that. These two courses themselves are, technically speaking, all the foundational stuff you need. You could, in fact, come in. I think it would be difficult, but you could come in, take the free courses, and go off and practice like crazy and find some success if you just really, really took them to heart. Realistically, that doesn't happen. People need support. This is not something that you just go through an online course in an hour or two, which is typically what people do. They rush through it. I'll get to that, and then off you go, and you're good. You really don't want to do this in a vacuum, and that's why we have a community. That's what this is all about. The second set of courses are the Get Funded courses, and those are about evaluations. We've got the Essential Guide to Evaluations, and of course, Becoming an Evaluation Hacker. And evaluations, in case any of you don't know what that's about, those are the companies like TopStep, Earn to Trade, Apex, Lilu. There's so many now, and that will, quote unquote, let you trade their money. And that's not entirely accurate of what's really going on with these evals. And that's, again, part of why we put these courses together, is to sort of demystify them a little bit, overcome some of the incorrect ideas people have about them. First and foremost of them usually being that they're a scam, because that certainly is what I and plenty of others thought the first time we stumbled across these companies. Was like, okay, there's no way that's real. This is not legit. It can't be. But they are actually legit, and they're very useful. But you have to treat them as their own thing, and they're different. You got to play that game, and it is its own game. So those two courses will really highlight the things you need to watch out for and know, and give you some tips and tricks on things you can do to best, exploit. Let's use that word again, to exploit the evaluators for your own gains, for your own ends. And that definitely can be done. We have a lot of people in TRG that are doing that these days, especially lately. There's been just a huge flood of people passing evaluations for the first time, and then moving on to step two of actually getting some money out of those companies. Now, when it comes to the online courses, it's probably too late to tell any of you this, but don't rush it, because everybody does. Everybody rushes through the course. They blast through them, because we can see the timestamps of when they start, when they end. And, they blast through these things in an hour. Or, maybe a day, maybe a weekend. Like that's somebody who goes really slow, like an entire weekend. And they do them once. They blast through them one time. And they treat them like the whole point is just to beat the quizzes, because there are quizzes, there's quizzes along the way and ask you random questions about the material and stuff. That's not the point to these courses. The quizzes are there to help reinforce your learning, but that is not the goal of the courses. It's just to beat those quizzes. But a lot of people, I can tell from the speed at which they go through them and the scores they get on the quizzes, because we can see all that in the back end. We can see everybody's scores on everything, and I can tell who is really going through everything and wanting to get it right, and who is just blasting through it to try to beat the quizzes and get on to the next section and be able to say, "Haha, I finished the course." And that really is not to your benefit to do that. Definitely use all the resources available to you, especially the community, the pit. And I'm going to probably get to that today. We'll see how much time I end up having left. But the pit, it's where we hang out. And it's shocking to me how few people ever actually use the pit. It blows my mind. We've got nearly 1,000 people now who have been through the free courses. And a tiny fraction of them, maybe 10%. Of the, and I'm not including paid TRG members, but of the people who just come through the free courses, maybe 10% of them ever drop into the pit at all. The vast, overwhelming majority of them literally never come in, never at all. They don't even drop in once. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad you found it. And that's definitely, we did realize along the way at one point, it was like, okay, we have an issue of discoverability here. Not everybody is even realizing that it exists. And in some cases, that could be email problems. We certainly have had plenty of cases where people are not able to receive our emails, spam filters are blocking, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing this session, is so that we can have another channel to point people in the right direction, to get them in here and get them using all the resources they have at their disposal. And then repeat these courses, right? You don't have to just do them once. You have unlimited access to them. You can start over again anytime. And I strongly suggest do them over and over until you can complete them 100%. You want to get a perfect score here. You 100% the whole course. But most importantly, you want to be able to do it comfortably, not because you've memorized the answers, which would not be hard to do, right? These quizzes don't have 1,000 different random answers or random questions rather to choose from. They have a pretty small set of questions. So it wouldn't be hard to just memorize the answers. But again, that doesn't benefit you. That doesn't serve you. You want to be able to get 100% on the quiz because you read it, understood it, and actually knew why the answer was the answer that you gave. And I really strongly suggest you do that. Go through until you get 100% on everything. And the quizzes are really in the TickMaker courses. The evaluation courses, doesn't really make any sense to have quizzes there. They're really just informational, and they're very useful. They're very, very good material in there. But really, the quizzes are the domain of the TickMaker courses. So just make sure you do it as many times. If 3 times, 5 times, 12 times, whatever it takes. But you will do so much better at your understanding as you go deeper down this path than somebody who just races through it one time and never revisits it again. All right, let's talk a little bit about tools. In fact, in trading, you really, really, really need to know your tools. You cannot just throw up your hands and say, oh, well, I'm tech illiterate. And I encounter this actually a lot. And I've heard it. This goes way before I was in TRG. I've heard this countless times from people who just say, oh, I'm not very good with computers, whatever. They think that they can buy a trading platform and just magically be able to use it. And they think it's going to be like red light, green light, just push this button when this thing lights up and be a little monkey. You got to know your tools. That's all there is to it. Trading is technical. Just accept it and learn. You're perfectly able to. You don't have to be a developer. You don't have to go get a degree in IT or something. I don't have a degree in IT. I don't have any degree in anything. I have no college. So, you don't need that level of understanding, but you do need to really take the time to get to know your tools. Poke around, explore, push buttons, check. You should have a passing familiarity with every single menu in every program you use. When I was a kid, that's how I taught myself software. I would just literally go through the menus and go, what's this do? What's this do? What's this do? What's this do? Every single menu item. And a lot of the times when I first looked at a program, the menu item, I had no idea what it did. I clicked something and that didn't seem to do anything. Okay, well, I'll come back another time and see if it does something under some other context. And sure enough, it usually does. So you got to know your platform. Your tools, they're your livelihood. These are what are going to make you money. That's the idea here, right? We're here to make money. That's the only reason. That or at least it really probably should be. I suppose it could be just a hobby if you got money to throw at it. Hobbies cost money, whereas businesses make money. And I presume most of us are probably here to try to make money rather than just spend money. But generally speaking, you got to know your tools. An oil painter, right? An oil painter has got to know, and I'm talking like portrait oils, not like painting houses. If you're painting portraits as an oil painter, you got to understand color theory. You got to understand the chemistry of mixing different paints and pigments and things like that, especially if you're actually making your own colors, which I think very few people do anymore these days, but you could. If you're a carpenter, you got to understand the different kinds of wood. It's not as simple as just grab some wood and hammer it into shape. It doesn't work that way. So you got to really understand the tools you're going to use to construct anything, and the different kinds of joints and different types of blades for different kinds of softnesses of woods and all that kind of thing. And of course, the example that Jeff in particular likes to use, and we talk about from time to time, is Formula One, right? You're going to drive a Formula One car. Do you think they just know how to drive? They got a driver's license, so they throw them in the cockpit of one of those cars and let them go? No, absolutely not. Those drivers know the ins and outs of their car. They sit in on the meetings with the engineers, and they're discussing every data point and every last little piece and part of that vehicle. They got to know their tools absolutely inside out, backwards, forwards, upside down, you name it. They know them. There we go. And be resourceful. Over and over again. And we see this this goes again beyond TRG. This is in any Facebook group, on Twitter. I mean, you see this out there is people don't bother to try to figure stuff out for themselves. And it's so funny. I can't tell you how many times in my life in forums, this is the internet forum, right? And this goes back actually even pre-forums, this is bulletin board days, 80s. You'd see people, of course, there were no search engines then, so I cut them some slack. But today you'll see people go onto Reddit or something and they'll ask a question that all they had to do was literally type the same thing into Google. That they just spent the time to go create an account on a place like Reddit or Twitter or wherever and post, and they'd have gotten the answer as the first Google result. Google is your friend. Really get familiar with Google and get to know more than just typing in a keyword or something. Learn how you use quotes with Google, how to use some of the advanced search parameters. Google is a tool, and it's a phenomenal tool for research if you take the time to get to know it. And lastly, TRG, we're not platform support, right? But we try to help. We will do what we can, specifically in the pit, in the community, in the pit. We've got a whole channel stream. They're called streams in the software we use, but other platforms call them channels. We've got a whole section devoted to software and hardware, and especially platforms. And if you've got an issue with the platform, come on in and post, and I'm sure a bunch of members will try to see if they can shed some light on something. But it's a little bit disappointing when somebody comes in and takes the time to post their question when, again, all they had to do was literally type that into Google and presto, they would have had their answer. So if you're going to post in the pit with tech support type requests, that's fine. But please have done something first, at least say what you've tried. I've tried this. I've looked here. I've done that. And odds are, actually, a lot of the time, if you do those things, you're going to end up finding the answer yourself anyway. But if you're truly stuck, just let us know how you're stuck, where you're stuck, what you're stuck on, and we will do what we can to try to help you out. In particular, in fact, in the pit, we've got a couple of threads here. I'm trying to copy and paste here. Come on, why are you not? I'm going to put this in the chat. There we go. So that is a topic in the pit about resources for learning Sierra Chart specifically. So for those of you who are Sierra Chart oriented, if you haven't seen that thread, check it out. There are some really useful resources in there. In particular, two that are excellent. This one here is free. It's from Frederick at Simple Systems Trading. And these aren't on screen here. They're just in the chat in Zoom. It's a free guide, beginner's guide type thing to Sierra Chart. And the other one here is from this guy found on Twitter called Ziggy on the Bid. And I haven't been through it, although I've seen some of his material, and he's very knowledgeable. And I heard from another member that it is really excellent. So it does have a cost. That one's not free, but I think it's like $20-$30 or something like that. Yeah, that's what I heard, was that Ziggy's really quite good. And I've liked his material. I've seen his stuff on Twitter and on his YouTube channel and everything. And he's good. He's very clear, very easy to follow and understand, and does a good job at breaking down a lot of not just basics, some pretty complex stuff as well. So check those resources out. And both of those, of course, are in that topic in the pit. Yes, he does. He's got some good stuff for sale, and also some free stuff too. He seems like a good guy. I like what he's doing. A very useful resource for Sierra Chart folks. All right. Navigating the TRG website. Let's see how we doing on time. Not bad. Okay, we just hit a half hour, so we'll keep going. I'm willing to do this up to an hour and see where we land. I think we'll get through at least the website stuff. So when navigating the TRG website, first thing to know, and I'm actually going to do this, and we're going to leave the slides in just a second here. But first, I want to point one thing out: the website and the pit, the community, have separate URLs to get to them, and they have separate logins and passwords. This is a common thing we run into with people who can't get into the pit because they keep trying to log in with their website login information. They're not the same. Note here, www.tradingresearchgroup.com. That's the website. Pit.tradingresearchgroup.com. That's the pit. That's the community. So they are different. There is a link to the pit within the members area. I'm going to show you that in just a second. But just so you understand that they have separate URLs to get to them, and they have completely separate login credentials. So don't mix those up and get confused on that. All right, let's start talking about said website. Let's start here. So there's two different statuses you could be within TRG, and the way the software we're using for the community, the pit, refers to them is as guests or members. And guest is a little bit of a misnomer, but it's the terminology they use. The main point is TRG member or a student who's been through the free courses but is not an actual TRG member. So we have on the left, we have my guest login. On the right, we have my member login. And for the most part, they're going to be the same here on the website. Where the difference comes in is primarily around the pit. But I'll walk through the website here as a guest anyway, and just show you kind of the lay of the land. First of all, after you log in, of course, when you go to the website and you're not logged in, instead of my account here, this will say login, and you click that, and you'll be prompted with a login page. And then when you log in, it'll give name and password. Of course, you can do a password reset, request your password. There's a forgot your password link, etc. Once you're logged in, this is what you'll see. And there's a bunch of stuff you can do here, obviously. Let's just walk through them. My details. If you want to edit your email address, if you ever need to change your email address or change any of your personal details, not that there's a lot of personal details, but if you did want to change them, this is where you do it. First name, last name, display name. This is not the display name in the pit, by the way. This is the display name in WordPress, which really it's not displayed anywhere anyway. So this really doesn't mean anything with regards to anything that's going to matter. If you want your name changed in the pit, occasionally we have that people with very long or complex names that maybe use a nickname or something like that. You can just contact me in the pit and ask me, can you change my name? And sure, no problem. Some people want to add an initial or remove a last name or stuff like that. It's not a problem. Just contact me and I can edit your name in the community. You can change your password here and just save your changes, your billing address, information, shipping address. Not that we ship anything, but if this is obviously just a dummy account that I created, so it doesn't have any of this information. But if it did, you can change your billing information, your billing address information there. If you want to actually change your billing method, that's where you go here. Billing. Pretty straightforward. And again, this is a dummy account, so it has nothing. But if you had a credit card in here or whatever, it would be here, and you could add payment method, change your payment method, that sort of thing. If you need to change your credit card or update it because it expired or all that kind of thing. Now, subscriptions. Subscriptions are within TRG, of course, your payment term. And there's three different kinds. There's monthly subscription, quarterly subscription, and annual subscription. And again, dummy account. So I have no subscriptions here, but if I did, it would show up here and it would show me, whatever my subscription status is and when it's expiring and that kind of thing. If I were to want to cancel my subscription, this is also where I would go. I don't have one to cancel, so I can't show you what that would look like, but this is where you go. If you ever want to cancel your subscription, you do it here. Note, however, that canceling your subscription does not just terminate your access to TRG immediately. Your subscription is good until its expiration date. So if you were to decide, okay, this happens actually fairly often. Somebody decides they need to take a break from TRG, go off and practice for a few months and then come back. That happens actually pretty regularly. Or sometimes people are going on a long vacation or something like that, or a work trip or whatever. So they're going to pause their subscription for a while. So they'll just come in here, cancel it. And then let's say that they canceled it on the first day of their month, the day after their payment renewed. Well, then they've still got the rest of the 29 days or whatever it is access. So you don't just lose access the moment you cancel. You do always have access through to the end of your subscription period, whatever that is. So just keep that in mind if you do cancel. It's not instantaneous. Let's see. Orders is, you can see each of your individual orders and what you paid for it. If anything, this was a free class here, of course. So it was zeroed out. But if there was any paid classes, it would show here what the charge was and the date, timestamp, et cetera. And so, if you want to see what you've paid for or what you've quote unquote purchased, even free stuff, the model we're using is a purchase model. There really is no off-the-shelf software that was perfectly designed for what we do. So we have cobbled together a variety of different things to result in what we've got. So some things, the metaphor may seem a little odd. Like, why am I purchasing something that's free? That doesn't make any sense. Well, it's the terminology. It's the way that the software we're using works. So orders is where you'll find things you've signed up for, basically, whether you actually paid money for them or not. That's where they should be. Now, over here on the right-hand side, under My TRG, this is where kind of the meat is. That's just sort of administrative trivia stuff. Courses. This is where you will see whatever courses you have actually signed up for. And this account is not signed up for any. Let's go over to this one here. There we go. So this is my member account, and it is actually signed up for 4 different courses. Of course, it's all the free online courses. And this is where you can go to start the course. You can continue from where you left off, etc. This is where you'll find your courses. You can get back by just go to my account. That's probably the easiest way to get back. And then we have the calendar. The calendar is it's the course calendar. I'm going to pop it open in a new tab so we can talk about it. The calendar is where you're going to see what's the schedule and what am I going to book onto, what's available to me, what do I want to do. However, before I even look at the calendar, I want to explain a couple things. As a TRG member, you have. And again, this sort of comes back to the software that we had to choose to do things has some terminology that is a little unusual, but I'm going to explain it here and hopefully it makes sense. You have what's called a booking pass, and you can think of it kind of like a coupon book. And so as a standard monthly TRG member, you get 40 credits per month or 40 coupons. And you can, quote unquote, you can allocate those credits to attend whatever things you want to attend. And I'll show you the calendar in just a second, but most of the things on the calendar are going to be 1 credit. That is our typical sort of standard baseline cost for any class is 1 credit. So 40 credits, you've got about 40 classes a month that you can attend, which is in most cases, basically enough to attend everything. That was the idea. All of the basic sort of core material, we wanted to make sure that everybody always had enough credits to access everything. However, the reason why we've used a credit model here is because we've got some plans to do a variety of different things, some of which could be multiple credits. We might do some more. Jeff did something a while back, about, I don't know, year and a half ago now, I think, called a scalpathon, and he's thinking about doing another one of those. And we've got some other sort of more workshop-y kind of things that might cover multiple sessions over multiple days, multiple weeks even. And those will be more than a single credit. And so that's where credit allocation starts to become something to think about and consider. We haven't really done much of that quite yet, but we've got plans, put it that way. So that's, you get your, what's called a booking pass. A booking pass will contain your credits. In the future, one other thing that we haven't implemented yet, but we have the idea of being able to do sort of quote unquote pay-per-view, or pay-per-view is really the wrong way to put it, but based on demand, we will do the following. And with, if we can get at least 10 people want this and book onto this, I'll go live and we'll do a core at 2 a.m. and we'll do a thing on the midnight oil trade or whatever it may be. And if not enough people book on, if there's only 3 people who are interested, then, okay, it's not worth doing. No problem. We just click a button and everybody gets their credits refunded and the thing just doesn't happen. And it's simple and clean. It gives us flexibility to do sort of on the fly things like that, where if there's demand, then we go forward and we do it. And if there's not, then we don't. We kind of let the auction decide, more or less, and think of it that way. The calendar, let's actually look at the calendar. Here is what the calendar looks like by default. And this is where, as I was saying, you have to choose your booking pass. And I don't think I have one here. Oh, no, I do. That's right. Oh, yes, I forgot. I had given myself a booking pass specifically so that I could demonstrate this. So this is how it would work. As a TRG member, you will have a booking pass. As a non-TRG member, you wouldn't. And if I look at the whole month, here is everything available for up to the next 10 days. One other difference between, in fact, let me do this over here. I'm going to look at the guest calendar on the left. Come on. Hello. There we go. Look at the guest calendar on the left and the member calendar on the right. And there's a significant difference between them. Now, first of all, this guest, of course, has no active credits, right? Because it's a guest and I don't have any credits. Oh, that's odd. They're the same. Confused by that. I thought the guest calendar was supposed to... Oh, maybe it's the not logged in guest. Maybe even logged in guests see a limited calendar. Let me log out and go back to the calendar. And then we should have the full. Actually, here, I'll just... oh, no, it's not there. I'll just type it in, calendar. And we'll go to month. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So if you're not logged in, you're just a visitor from the world, then you see every single thing that we have scheduled as far out as we have scheduled it. If you're logged in, you can only see up to the next 10 days from now. And the reason for that is because what was happening was people were coming in and booking the entire month in advance. And this is kind of a holdover from the old systems we were using last year, where it made more sense to do that. You just come in on the first of the month and book the entire month out ahead of time because there were no credits. It was just easier to do it all at once. But with the credit model, what will happen is people will book everything ahead of time. And then something happens, Jeff's got a health issue, or I've got a scheduling conflict, or something, comes up and Lee's traveling or whatever. And we have to cancel something. Then we've got confusion and people, we have to cancel the bookings and refund the credits. And some people inevitably don't realize that we canceled, and it just gets all confused. And we wanted to avoid that. That's why if you're actually logged in and you're going to book onto something, you can only book out up to 10 days. That way it's unlikely. We don't usually cancel anything on that short of notice. It happens occasionally, but usually if something's canceled, it's further out than that, and nobody's booked on yet anyway. And so it's harmless. Anyway, to book something as a member, you would pick your booking pass. So TRG membership class credits, 40 credits a month. That's a standard monthly subscription. And then you pick what you want to book, and you can book multiple things at once. Today is the 7th here. It's the one highlighted in dark. That'd be low lighted, I guess. And obviously today's sessions are already done. We're already on it. So if I wanted to book tomorrow, I could click that and click that. And as I click them, you see them appearing here up at the top, and it's saying one class credit, total of 2. So I've got 2 things booked, and I can maybe book the following week out here. Whoops. It inches down as you're clicking. So don't be too click happy or you click on the wrong thing, because it's just gradually pushing down as this up here fills in. And then down here, we've got also a list of here's everything you have selected. Oh, stop doing that. There we go. And if you need to remove something, say, oh, you know what? No, I actually didn't want this session there. Let's remove that. You just click it there and it's gone. So I've got these 3 things I'm going to book. I'll click book and presto, booked. How about that? Yay. And now I've got upcoming classes, and I can click to join, click to join, click to join. If I want to cancel a class that I've booked onto, I want to get my credit back. As long as it's at least, I believe, 1 hour ahead of class time, you just click cancel, and it will cancel your booking and refund your credit. So something comes up and you realize, oh, crap, I've got an errand I got to run. I'm not going to be able to make it, whatever. You can always cancel the booking. Now, be aware, this doesn't have anything to do with your access to the recording. This is not a case where you only get access to the recording if you were booked on or anything like that. It's not the case at all. You will always have recordings. So you don't even have to have booked at all. The recordings are just in the library. Booking is not required for any purpose other than attendance. So if you do want to attend, obviously you've got to book on. And there's no harm in booking onto something and then not showing up. It burns a credit. But, if you've got more than enough credits for everything you want every month, maybe you don't care. Maybe that doesn't really matter to you. But if it does matter to you, if you want to reserve your credits in case something else comes along that you want to be able to join, then, just consider where you allocate them and don't bother booking something if you know for sure you're not going to attend. But either way, you always have access to the recordings anyway. This is also where you can get your join meeting links. And where this page is, if you're eagle-eyed, you may have noticed in the address bar, it's at /my class bookings, which by an amazing coincidence, if we go back into the my account area, just so happens to be exactly where this bookings link goes. You can see down the lower left-hand corner of that window, my class bookings. So after you've booked something, you want to get to your join links, you can just go there, and there they all are. Click to join, click to join, click to join. Now, that being said, that is not the only way that you can get join links, because you also will find that they arrive in your email like this. And so as you book onto something, you will get emails like this. Your training research group order has been received. It is now complete. Your booking is complete. And your booking is complete will have click here to join at the scheduled time, etc. So you will also get an email with these. The problem with email, of course, is that it's subject to spam filters and ISPs blocking email and things of that nature. So sometimes some people have difficulty receiving the emails, whereas they can just go to the website and actually go to the booking page and click to join. So you got choices there. If all else fails, if everything goes wrong, your link in the website isn't working, the email didn't arrive, or that link's not working, or whatever, just reach out to me in the pit. You can always do that. And that happens at least several times a month. Somebody has to ping me in the pit and say, I'm not able to join, the link is broken or whatever, because this is the internet, and the internet is very unreliable, let's just say. Lots of things can go wrong communicating between Zoom and everything else. Oh, actually, before I get rid of that, I should talk about one other thing. One really handy thing about receiving the email, though, is this. You've got a link here. Add this booking to your calendar. So if you use a personal calendar, like iCal, I have a Mac here, so I use my iCal or whatever they call it now. I guess now they just call it calendar, but the Mac calendar, or if I use Google Calendar or Outlook calendar, whatever, you can add to your calendar. But the particularly useful thing is this one here. Add all your bookings to your calendar. Here's what I recommend you do. This is a link that will, in fact, here, I'm just going to go ahead and click it, and we'll go to, let's see, which browser is going to give me the least headache? Probably Firefox. Yeah, so I click that link, and by default, it's popping open my default Mac calendar and saying, oh, do you want to add this to your event? And say, oh, okay, no, I really don't in this case. But what you can do also is, let's say a lot of people use Google Calendar. That's probably even more common, more frequently used than Mac calendar. You can right click this link, copy the link, and now you can just take that link. In fact, here, let me, I will do it over here. I will paste that link here. There it is. There's the link. And notice it's got all this extra stuff at the end. What that is going to essentially be an ICS file, if you're familiar with ICS files. What you can do is you can go into Google Calendar. In fact, here, you know what? I hadn't planned to do this. Let's see, Google Calendar. Let's see, can I do this, or is it going to require? It's probably going to. No, okay, it did. Cool. Let me in. Great. So here's what you can do. You can go other calendars, click the plus sign, and you can say from URL, not subscribe to calendar, but from URL. And if you do that and paste in that URL, specifically the add all bookings URL, not add this booking, but add all bookings. You add that to your calendar. What this is a dynamic, constantly real time, or well, not quite real time because Google doesn't update in real time, but whatever. It's a constantly updating dynamic link to everything you book, and it never changes. So that means once you've done this one time, for the rest of time, anything you book in TRG will automatically appear on your calendar. instantly, just pop it. Well, again, not instant, because Google is really sporadic and random on when they refresh their calendar. I have seen it update in an hour. I've seen it update in over 24 hours. It's super hit or miss, but it does work. It does eventually update, and then you do it one time and you're done, and you never have to worry about putting something on your calendar or forgetting to put something on your calendar ever again. So that's a very handy thing about these emails, and that link is only available in the email. So if you aren't receiving our emails, please do reach out to me and let me know, and we'll try to see if it's a spam blocking issue or what have you. We do get people from time to time who think that to unsubscribe from an email, you mark it as spam. And unfortunately, that does not work. And in fact, it's much worse than not working. That actually reports back to the email provider that we're spamming, and therefore we should be blocked from being able to send you emails. And then we can't send you a password reset email. We can't send you anything. We cannot contact you. And it's very frustrating for you, because you're wondering, like, why can't I get these damn booking emails as your system doesn't work? And then it's frustrating for us also, because we're trying to deliver what you're expecting and we can't. So, just make sure you haven't marked us as spam, or if you have inadvertently, it can happen. You accidentally clicked something or whatever. Then contact us and we can fix that on our end if necessary. Okay, let's see. We're doing okay. Got a few more things to go over here. And let's see. So bookings, I covered that. Let's see. Let's talk about subscription upgrades. Under the class credits button, if you ever run out of credits, or you want to see how many credits you have left or what have you, I can see here. Here's my booking pass. It's called TRG Membership Class Credits, and I've got 37 out of my original 40 credits remaining, and they expire February 23rd. They do expire monthly or quarterly or annually, whatever your subscription level is. They don't roll over. You don't keep unused credits, et cetera. So they do have an expiry date. And if you were somehow to find that you were out of credits, let's just imagine that, I don't know, we did some clinic that was 5 credits or something like that. Let's say you had 4 credits left, and you needed 1 more credit. You were 1 credit shy being able to get to this thing. And the event in question is tomorrow, but your subscription isn't renewing for another week. And so you're not going to get more credits for another week. Well, what do you do? Well, fortunately, we've thought of that. And there's an easy way to fix it. There's actually a couple of different things you can do. One is to just buy some top-up credits. Top-up credits are $2.50 a piece, and you can buy as little as 1. If you just need 1 more credit, you can just buy 1 credit, and you can add it to, if you had multiple booking passes, you could add it to a different one. But then you just say, okay, I want to reload my class credits booking pass. I want to buy 1 more, and I want to buy now, and it will take you through a checkout process. And there you go. You can buy 1 more credit. You buy 10 more credits, 100 more credits, whatever. It's as incremental as you want to get. But there's one other thing you can do, which is you could simply decide to pay for your renewal early. Now, there's a subtlety here that is not that hard to understand, but easy to overlook if you don't actually think about it. And I've tried to explain it here. And that point is that your date of renewal, your date of membership does not change. So the example we gave here is, let's say that you have a monthly membership that renews normally on the 15th. In fact, let's imagine I was going to renew it today. Today's the 7th, and I normally renew on the 15th. If I renew it today, I will make a payment now for the following month's subscription. My date doesn't change to be the 7th now. It stays on the 15th. It would be whatever the next 15th is. So it is kind of like a reset, an eval reset. I didn't quite think about that. Although in this case, you're not paying more. The difference there is the reset is like, this is an extra premium we're going to charge you. This is just you're paying what you would normally pay. You're just paying it ahead of time. That's all. So in this case, if I normally was going to rebill on February 15th and I were to renew now, I'm not going to also rebill on the 15th. My next billing would be March 15th. I've just paid it early. But in doing so, it's going to top up my credits now. So if you want to get your full allotment of credits from the next month, you can do it ahead of time by renewing early. This is also where you go if you want to just plain upgrade your membership. And this is not an uncommon thing. We have 3 different tiers of membership, as I mentioned. There's monthly, quarterly, annual. Fairly simple. And each one has each of the quarterly and annual has a corresponding discount. Doing this off memory, I believe quarterly is a 10% discount and annual is a 20% discount. Does that sound right, Lee? Yeah, you're probably not listening. That's okay. Anyway, I know it's written on the website. It's on the homepage somewhere. But anyway, the point is that quarterly and annual do get a discounted price. And a lot of times we have people who come in for, a month or two. They look around and they realize, wow, okay, I'm home. This is where I want to be. Yeah, I'm going annual or I'm going quarterly, or whatever, depending on your finances, your budget, et cetera, and how much you want to spend on trading stuff. And a lot of people, the majority, just stick on monthly because it's simple, just every month, whatever. But if you ever want to upgrade, that's where you do it. Just come here and you can upgrade your membership. Now, note one other thing. Again, this is a little subtlety that isn't immediately obvious. If I were, imagine I was on I was on monthly and my renewal is the 15th. And I say, oh, okay, I'm going to go annual. And so boom, upgrade now, pay for annual. Well, I'm not actually going to pay today. What I'm doing is I'm telling the system at my next rebill, I want to go up a tier. So on the 15th, then I would pay for an annual. It's not now. I'm not paying now. I'm just telling it, yeah, my next rebill after my current term is up, then this is the new tier I want to be on. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's where you go if you want to upgrade your membership to a longer term and save a little bit of money in the process. Okay, we have just hit 1 hour, and this is exactly the point where I was going to switch into talking about the pit. I thought this might happen. I'm going to push discussions of the pit specific stuff off to the next week's class on this. That way we can really have time to dig into that. But I will go through the rest of the buttons here just so you know what they are, and so that this is thorough and complete for the recording purposes. Library. I will do a whole deep dive into the library probably as part of next week's. That's my thinking. Next week will be community and library. But that's where the library is. If you haven't somehow already found it, don't know about it, there it is. If you click that, you get to the library. It's also just at the URL of the website /library. And in case you don't know, we have library passes here. So if you want access to everything you see here, all of this lovely, lovely content going back to 2019, excuse me. You don't have to be a TRG member. You can also just buy a library pass for a day, a week, or a month. And, again, we get that a few times a month. People dip in and say, I want to take a look at a couple classes or whatever. And it's all you can eat. So, 24 hours, if you can binge watch, all the structure classes, you could do that. You could do Lee's entire 8 class cycle, it was 4 weeks, 2 classes. Yeah, that's 8. 4 times 2 is 8. Yes, I can do math. You could do that in a 24-hour period. So whether you would retain anything or not, that's a different question. But you could definitely do it. So if you ever are not a member, but you just want to dip into the library for a bit, maybe review something from before when you were a member, we have people who do that too. Or you just want to check out what's in here and see if you might want to commit longer. That's a way you can do that. So library passes are handy. To get to the pit, if you ever can't remember pit.tradingresearchgroup.com, you can just click it here. And this will, again, I'll just pop that open in a new tab. There it is, takes you to the pit. And of course, it will take you to a login page if you're not logged in. So that's there. Apps. There are mobile apps for the Zulip software that we use, the Pit. There's also a dedicated desktop app. And notice that this was not a page on our website. This is taking you out to zulip.com, which is the company that makes the open source software we're using for the community. And they've got dedicated apps for Mac, Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, whatever the hell that is. Zulip Terminal? I don't even know what that is. Anyway, I tend to use the dedicated desktop app for Zulip. For example, it is, here you go. This is dedicated client. It's really just a browser. under the hood, it's basically a self-contained browser, but it's nice and convenient. I can put it wherever I want it, and it's not tied to my actual browser where I might need to clear cookies or reset things or whatever. So it's very handy, and I like that. The mobile apps, Android, iOS. I have iOS, so I've never tried the Android app. The mobile apps, I'll be honest, they're not great. They work. They are great in a pinch, and I'm glad to have them. And occasionally I'm out running errands or something like that, and then I'll see something pop up on the pit, maybe something from Lee or Jeff that I need to respond to right away and tell them an answer to something. And so it's very handy for that kind of thing. But I personally would not at all want to be doing my primary community stuff on mobile. These mobile apps are very bare bones. They're not getting a lot of love and attention, in my opinion, from the Zulip team at this time. I think they probably will over time. They have improved quite a bit already, actually. They're very usable. They're very serviceable. But for primary interactions in the community, I really want to use the browser, either browser version or the dedicated desktop client. And then lastly, for those who like to spread the word, we do in fact have an affiliate program. It is our ambassador program. And here's everything you want to know about it. We do require that you sign up. We don't just make everybody automatically a TRG affiliate. We don't want a lot of affiliate spam. We want quality, not quantity. So we don't really talk about this much at all. In fact, I don't think we've ever talked about it at all. This might even be the very first time we've made any particular mention of it. But it is there, and you can see, what you get. You do get a commission. You get a 20% from whatever the people you refer spend with us, and that's for lifetime. So it's a nice little thing, especially if you're the type who people are interested in what you do. Maybe you tweet, maybe you've got an active social following, or you're in trading circles or something like that. This could be a good way to build yourself up another little residual income stream and help TRG out at the same time. So that gets us through the TRG website on the back end. And member area. I think that, actually a couple things I'll point out real quick you can explore on your own. The FAQs, I'm still in the process of fleshing these out more, but I have added quite a few articles here, and there's a lot of useful, helpful stuff in here that they are literally frequently asked questions. These are questions that we have gotten asked over and over again, and again, I'm still in the process. Not all of these have been fleshed out. Some of them you're going to see. I'm going to pick one randomly. Nope, this one actually has content. So anyway, some of them you might see placeholder, coming soon or something like that. But I'm in the process of fleshing this out, and you can search it and look for stuff if you're looking for things that might be in there. So feel free to check that out. And then, of course, free courses. To get the free courses, if by chance you haven't already gotten them, you can just click there. If I click that, it will take me to my free courses because I already have them and I'm logged in. Live classes takes you to the calendar or to the library. So there's some shortcuts there as well. And then, of course, if you want to just find out about becoming a TRG member and see what the different membership options are, here they are. And hopefully that is helpful and clear. Oh, and just because it always gets asked, I'll say it now. Everything is always recorded. That's why we have the library. It's automatic. Everything always defaults to being recorded. And then I do the videos and I get them up. We promise within 24 hours. It's pretty rare that I don't get to them same day. But every once in a while I get too backed up and too busy and I don't get to them until the following morning or something like that. But generally speaking, it's later that same day. All right. Well, thank you for attending, everybody. We'll call this Burning Desires, going once, maybe twice as well. And if there's nothing else, we'll let you go. And we'll pick this up again tomorrow with Jeff's session. And we'll do some more next week on stuff within TRG. We'll talk community specifically and dive into ways, best ways to use Zulip and some of the features that you may not know about, notifications and how to turn on or off email notifications and all that good stuff, as well as just shortcuts and efficiency things and using the pit. And then as well, go into the library and do the same thing there. Talk about how to best search the library and how to keep track of what's going on in there and how to find the stuff you want. So. All right. You're very welcome, Maria. Thank you, everybody. If there is nothing else, we will go. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you real soon, and I'll see you in the pit.